In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at a game called Breaking Teeth, the Battle of Teruel, December 15th, 1937. So this is a game by a company called High Flying Dice. The quality of the components, basically, I would describe it as desktop published, but these games are affordable. Probably like $20 games, something like that. You got a small map area for this one. And you get a rule book, which I printed it off, and you play this game with a deck of playing cards, and you need one six-sided die. So basically, the way the cards work is you take the face cards out of the deck, so you keep 1 through 10, and you divide them into the two color sets. So you have a black deck and you have a red deck. One side gets the red deck, the other side gets the black deck, and then you put the one joker in each of the decks. And what happens in this game, actually, the Republicans automatically get initiative, but when you play a turn, you each draw a card off the top of your deck, and the high card wins and gets to make an action, and those actions can be movement or combats or rallies or things like that. And then once that's done, both players select cards again and flip them, and the high card wins. So, I mean, this provides a little bit of randomness to the game, but the fact is everybody has 2 of each number from 1 to 10. Because of that's how the 52 deck card system works. So it always somewhat balances out. So if one guy gets 5 wins in a row, eventually you're going to catch up on those. It's just that the timing might affect your game. And the other thing too is when a joker is drawn, the first time it produces a random event, and there's 6 results. You just roll a d6 and apply the result. And then when the second joker is drawn, then that turn ends. Wherever you happen to be, that's the end of it. And then you go on to turn 2 and reset the cards and begin again until the game's over, basically. The game has a morale chart and also a victory point chart and a turn chart on here. So essentially, that's how the game works. Each turn is approximately 3 days of time, but the amount of activity is determined by how the cards come up. The units in the game are basically infantry brigades, but if they're armored units, they're battalions-sized units. So there are a number of these in the game. One of the interesting things about this battle is that Ernest Hemingway, I guess, was here at this battle with the Republican side, and just an interesting note that he was involved in the side that was attacking here. Also, I wanted to mention that there are some optional rules that you can use if you want to. One of them is called tank fright. So if you happen to run into enemy tanks in the open, there's a chance you might become pinned because of just seeing them. So that's an interesting thing. There's also an opponent, an opportunity, defensive opportunity fire rule if you want to use that. And then there's another rule called fanatical defense, which can affect a combat with penalties if you choose to employ it. So it's basically, it's a simple enough game. This is very typical of the High Flying Dice games systems. I think for me, they're an acquired taste, but Paul Robert does, seem to cover some battles that are, well, I have not played Teruel before. He has another one on the Battle of El Machili in the North Africa campaign, which I think is very interesting, one to look at as well. And I think he may do the Nominhan campaign too in Mongolia. So anyway, we'll take a brief look. I'll show you some pictures and give you a little bit of commentary on what's happened. This is just a brief Note about the context of this game, and it says the Republican cause was in serious jeopardy after a year and a half of bloody fighting. Many felt it would take a miracle to rejuvenate an army that was barely hanging on in Madrid and reeling from repeated nationalist blows elsewhere in Spain. As winter settled in, the need for some sort of victory in the field was increasingly necessary as France and the Soviet Union began wavering in their support. And Great Britain stepped up its blockade that in reality only helped the nationalists. One of the most direct threats to Republican survival was the salient to the south of Madrid. Any further nationalist gains in that sector could cut off the capital's link to the rest of the Republican-controlled Spain. With little to lose and much to win, General Enrique Lister's 11th Division was placed in the vanguard of the Republican counterattack. Their goal was to take the key defensive positions of La Muela de Teruel, or Teruel's Tooth. So that's the context of this game. So this first picture shows the opening of the game, and the initiative automatically goes to the Republicans at the beginning. And so what we see here in the orange are the Republicans, the green are the nationalist, Spanish nationalists. So what's happening here is the units coming in from the right side of the map are Republican units trying to attack the village of Teruel. And you've got at the very top the 11th Infantry Division coming in, as well as in the red infantry units are the 46th Infantry Division. And then at the bottom you have the 11th Composite Armor Brigade. And you can see they have silhouettes on them, and basically you have the 311 is a group of T-26s, and then the other three unit, the 211 and the 111 are basically L-335 tanks, and I think the 411 is another group of T-26s. So they're charged with trying to attack these entrenched positions in Teruel. Moving along to our next slide, we have the nationalists coming on from the left-hand side in the top of the picture. And you have these armored car units, the first and second. And these are basically the relief column that's coming in. They're not very strong, but they do have a little bit of a movement advantage, being rated 3, and they have a decent defensibility. And then we see the Navarra Division, which are the 3 infantry units in the red boxes. So they're coming in along this road to try to set up a defensive position so that the Republicans can't just focus solely on Teruel. So what happens is when you win an activation by drawing the correct card, the highest card number out of the deck, you get to choose what you want to do, and you can use artillery support, you can use an airstrike, you can take a move action, you can assault adjacent units. If you have a disrupted unit, you can try to rally it, or you can create entrenchments. And what we see in this picture here, there has been some fighting going on with the 11th Composite Armored Brigade on the left-hand side of the picture, and they've actually have pinned the 1st Navarra Division's, one of the brigades in that unit. At the very top left, you can see it has a pinned marker on it. Also, we see that the 11th division of the Republicans, these are the yellow on yellow units around the top, are trying to surround Teruel. And then you've got the 46th division. And then the at the very bottom, the white infantry unit is the 35th International Brigade. And that's coming in near Castralvo, I think is the name of that village. Anyway, from the looks of the picture here, the Republicans seem to have surrounded Teruel fairly well, but they have a very weak attack factors on their infantry for the most part. I mean, 1 attack factors, so these are going to be difficult. And the way combat works in this game is when you launch an attack against adjacent units, you basically have some modifiers that you throw in there against a die roll, and to get hits you need to roll with the modifications higher than the target defenses factor. And so these it's a very simple combat system, and there are modifiers for terrain and other things. As the battle continues, this next picture shows some infiltration into Teruel itself. You've got the 311 Brigade that's in the northeastern part of the city, and you've got the 35th International Brigade that's coming in from the south. But these are nationalist units, are 4 defense factor units with entrenchments. So it's going to be very difficult to dislodge them. At the very top, we do see the 11th composite armor, or one of the units, one of the battalions from that brigade is engaged with the relief column up there, but not much headway is really being made. This next picture shows what happens after some counterattacking by the nationalists. And at the very top, you see that the relief column units have pushed the 111 back into the village, and the 1st Galician Brigade is entangled with the 146 Brigade. You also see things have kind of stalled in Teruel. You've got the 311 still in the same position trying to attack, but they're attacking this southeastern part of the city, which is entrenched with a 4-strength unit, and they basically only have a 4-strength infantry in the attacks here. So it's a very difficult to dislodge these guys. And this last picture here shows what's happening at the end of the game. You see the relief column at the top of the map. Not only are they in Vila Baja, which is a village at that crossroads at the top, but they have entrenched while they're there. So they're holding that point very well. And you've got the 2nd Galician Division units are holding off the 11th Composite Tank unit, as well as the 246. And we see in Teruel itself that the Republicans have made no progress whatsoever in dislodging these guys. So this game comes to a conclusion in a nationalist victory. The victory points here are allotted, a large number of them are from the control of the Teruel locations. Also, there are points that are gained by inflicting reductions on each other's units, or unit eliminations. So these kind of balanced out, so the nationalists really are holding a bulk of the geographical terrain features, so that's why they won this battle. I'm not sure that this is, I think it's a difficult battle for the Republicans to win, but I had a good time playing it. It's a simple enough game, and affordable for sure. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Stay tuned if you'd like to see other games highlighted.